Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all have a good lunch. So I start with the afternoon session. I have two presentations right after this together. So about the soil health, and first presentation about the I would like to say about the pesticide use in different cropping system in the case study in the Mekong River Delta. So this study this in a project in collaboration with again with the Leuven University in the this funded by Vien program. Okay. First, as you know, as I remember, so 2 days before the Professor Vien, he said in the Mekong, in Vietnam now we have farmers use a lot of pesticides. Up to now we use up to around 100 tons of pesticide per year. Just have the data I took from the World Bank. So up this in 2013, so we applied nearly around 50,000, but nowadays, or maybe that could be to 100,000. And we think that means every year we load a lot of pesticide into the soil, and we have, of course, from that we also have the problem with the, we have also some environmental issues concerning to the soil pollution and also surface water or groundwater water pollution. I just would like to inform you that in other projects we collaborated with Vien University in Bonn, and they had research on the pollution of pesticide in the Mekong Delta, and they also found a lot of pesticides, different kinds of pesticide in surface water, in river, in canals around the Mekong Delta. Here, we in our project we study about the mitigation of the pesticide use, and this presentation just one of these. Here in this research we focus on the pesticide use under different cropping system, and as you know, so Vietnam previously we most the agricultural soil land used for the rice cultivation, but nowadays that's the area of the rice reduced. We move to the aquaculture, and we move to the other more effective, more beneficial benefit plants as the fruit trees or upland crops, and in that, so like as in the Mekong Delta, we have now the cropping system like continuous bed rice, and we have rice rotated with upland crops, and some area with only upland crops. And we interested in how the pesticide will be degraded, biodegraded in the different soil cropping system, because as you know, so in the bed rice, the soil condition like always submersion, and it's in the reductive condition. And when we move to rice upland rotated with upland crops, only upland crops, so the soil condition also change, and that will that will change the soil condition, and probably will lead to the change of the soil microbiome community, and also affect on the degradation of the pesticide in the soil. So that's the idea, the opinion. So why we come to this research. And so for this we did The objective of our study, so we investigate the pesticide use in three major cropping systems, as I mentioned in the previous slide, and also to determine if the cropping system have an impact on the pesticide use in the Mekong Delta. For this we did we did the interviewing to the farmers, and we selected some area over the Mekong Delta, and for each cropping system we have around more than we have the tens of interview to farmers, and we asked them about the pesticide they use, the dose they apply, and many things concerning to the pesticide use. And the Western for farmer mostly focus on the which cropping system are being done, and the field area for each system, and the best they are in the fields, and time and dose type and dose of use herbicide, insecticide, fungicide, and bactericide, which are applied in the fields. And frequency of each pesticide is applied for each crops. The question we need to clarify that is what pesticide are used, and for each pesticide we need to know the percent of the household using in each cropping system, and the percent of area and each pesticide is applied in each cropping system, and total amount of each pesticide is applied for each cropping system, and the application rate of used pesticide in each cropping system, and the property of each pesticide. Of course, we also look on the internet and the other sources to look what are they and the property in the soil, in the soil. And here is the data. As you see, here, the for three groups of pesticides, that's the herbicide, insecticides, okay, we have the number of pesticides of insecticides is not it's higher than compared with the fungicide and herbicide. That means for the plants in the Mekong Delta we have the more problem with the insects. So farmers they use more diverse of the insecticides compared with the others. And the group of pesticide used, you see here, mostly farmers they use this group belong to the amide pesticides mostly, and then we have the group of this one organophosphate. Also, a lot of farmers still use organophosphate, and also pyrethroid. As you know, the organophosphate is toxic. Normally, it's toxic and persistent in soil. And for the other, like the dangerous pesticide, like the organochlorine, farmers still use the organochlorine on around 4%, and the other carbamates around 10%. So on this picture, we see that now among the pesticides, so the farmer use mostly amide is less, relatively less compared with the others, so less toxic comparative to other pesticides and pyrethroid, but still many persistent or toxic pesticides to use, like organochlorine and organophosphate. And here the area of applied pesticide group. And you see the azole, pesticide of group azole, so most applied. This most applied. This like belong to this less toxic pesticides, emitted around 23%, and for the this one is the carbamate around 8%, and the area for the organochloride, organophosphate, just around 5%. And we look on the diversity of the pesticide in different cropping system. Yeah, and you see for the herbicide, so the mostly herbicide apply on for rice. So around 44% of herbicide apply for rice, and then to rice upland crops, and then upland crops. And for the for insecticides, so that means for rice we see the more problem with the grass, and for the for the upland crops we have the more problem with the insects. So the farmer apply more insecticide for upland crops. And for fungicide, so we see that's distributed nearly equally for 3 systems. And here the application dose. And this is the application dose. So you see for about the herbicides, for the application dose for herbicides. We see farmers they apply a lot of for the rice. This with the violet one. You see group amitrine use a lot. And also use of 2,4-D. And then for the upland crops, only upland crops, so they use a lot of glyphosate and metolachlor. And we did the discrimination analysis to see is there any differences between between cropping system in the herbicide use. And here we simulate different parameters like dose and area applied and many others. So we see there's difference. Divided into 3 groups separately for the rice mono rice and only upland crops, and rice upland crop rotation. So that means when the behavior of the farmers in the application of the herbicide also different between different cropping system. Okay, this is the percentage of the farmer use herbicides. So we see many farmers use the metolachlor as the pesticide. It's around 70 to 80% of farmers use the metolachlor. And for continued for only rice cropping system, and phenylchlorine also, and this is the most. We also found that's the most dominant pesticide used for the rice system. And also the same that we found also same tendency for the applied area. For the applied area. Okay. And about the insecticides. So insecticides for the insect, we also did the same study for like the application dose, area application, and the farmer, the percentage of farmer use insecticides. So we found that for rice, mono rice, so the farmer they use different kind of pesticide. There's not nothing dominant, but for the only upland crops, we see so many like cassava they use a lot, chlorpyrifos 18, and dimiphenol 2,8, and then also the metallachlor also use a lot. We did the discrimination analysis for the dose application between cropping system. We also found between different cropping system the amount, the dose of the insecticide applied also different. And here also about the percentage of farmer use insecticides. So here, as you see, there's some insecticides popularly used, like for the rice, mono rice, like abamectin, buforizin, and chlorantanitopron, and some others. And for only upland crops, farmers use a lot of abamectin, and then also diazinon, you see as here, fipronil also a lot, and for the rice upland crops, so also use a lot of abamectin, and like here, chlorpyrifos 18, and also fipronil, the same. So that means this similar ratio for these pesticide between cropping systems. And here the apply area for insecticides. Also, we see that we found that so the abamectin and like the fipronil, and here there's the bimetrozin and the thiamethoxams. They also use a lot for the upland crops, and for rice the same similar things, similar ratio we also found for the rice mono. And here the application dose for the fungicide and bactericide. So the application dose we is high in for the we found some like here fungicide for the rice mono, not so many something specific, but for the only upland crops we found that they use a lot of copper. Yeah, copper. And phthalate, and forcitin, also mancozeb, probenep, and thiophanate methyl. And as you see, so also there's we also see that discriminated between three cropping system of the using of fungicide and bactericides. And about the also the percentage of the farmer use of these pesticide, fungicide and bactericide. And for the we see there's for some pesticide there's similar ratio of the percentage of farmer use for different for some fungicide like difenoconazole and hexaconazole, and then yeah, for this. But some of them you see some different in the like in this one tricyclozone. So if we found no, this is not applied on the upland crops, only upland crops. And this is the okay. So we come to the conclusion. So the we found that only upland cropping system is the one use high amount and diversity of pesticides, and the cropping system has clear effect on the pesticide use in the Mekong Delta. Okay.